Yes. Now we will study about the sources of curriculum evaluation. The evaluator can gather data for curriculum evaluation from a variety of sources, including students, oneself, peer groups, and expert evaluators. So, I told you that to get the data, as the definition of the curriculum is that to gather the data, to analyze the data, organize the data, analyze the data, and present it in a form of that what kind of progress made by the learner. So, what are the sources from where we can collect the data? So, today we would like to know that what are the sources that can provide data for the curriculum evaluation. See, the evaluator can gather data for curriculum evaluation from a variety of sources, including students, oneself, peer groups, and expert evaluators. So, what are the sources for that? First is students, those who are studying in the educational institution. Second is the oneself, that is the teacher. Peer groups, that is the teacher, students, those who are interacting. And expert evaluators, those who are expert of the field, maybe administrators, maybe supervisors, etc. First we will take the students. Students, whether they have finished the course or are still enrolled in classes, can evaluate the curriculum. They can also give you data. Say for example, if they are considering that the curriculum is tough, difficult, and I can't understand. So this is one of the information given by the student. If a student says, very interesting, I do like this, this is another kind of information. Third student is saying, it is simplest one, and so I can understand it. This is third kind of information. So students themselves are the source of information, and it is primary source for the data collection of curriculum evaluation. So students, whether they have finished the course or are still enrolled in classes, can evaluate the curriculum. Students themselves can evaluate how far the curriculum is effective. In order to accurately determine whether or not a course is beneficial in giving students employment opportunities, evaluation can be very helpful. Because after getting the degree, if the students are able to get the job and facing the interview in a effective way, and they are performing well in any educational institutions, we can say that this curriculum is effective. So curriculum can be evaluated in terms of the performance of the students in the institution where he is studying. Similarly, if he is placed to the outer world in a very good way, we can say it is also helpful to give the students opportunities in the occupational world. So, evaluation can be very helpful for that, in that direction. When it comes to determining the necessity and significance of a given program, students are the best source, no doubt. Students are the best source to know what is the performance of a teacher, how far the curriculum is effective, how do you feel in this education institution, what are your job opportunities, your job prospects in coming days. These can also be asked by the students in the form of knowing the effectiveness of that particular curriculum. The curriculum evaluator should ideally find out what past and present students think about the program's overall implications. So, effectiveness can be checked by knowing the overall performance of the curriculum, by knowing the effectiveness of the administration, by knowing the effectiveness of the teaching learning process, by checking the outcome behavior of the students, and by knowing that what kind of placement the student have in the outer world. So these are the main points on the basis of which we can say the curriculum is effective. Self, an important part of the curriculum evaluation process, is the evaluator's own role. One who is evaluating, if the teacher is evaluating students' progress in terms of academic achievement, he can also assess that how many students are able to achieve the good results, how many students are able to know the understanding of this particular content. So, teacher as a evaluator can also act in any education institutions, and teacher can take decision that this kind of teaching learning process or the methodology that I have applied to deliver the content is not satisfactory. So, it should be changed. It should be changed, it should be modified, and so many kind of modification or so many kind of changes. Or so teacher is also a evaluator and can check that the teaching learning process applied to achieve the objectives are good or effective, or there is change or there is need to change the teaching learning processes. He or she must be clear about whether the evaluation is being done for the purpose of improving teaching and learning strategies or as a part of an accreditation process. An evaluator should start by understanding the prerequisites, goals, content, required reading and assessment methodology of a given program. This would undoubtedly aid him in identifying the kinds of resources that ought to be made available to students, or even in proposing the necessary action to ensure that students are satisfied with this course. Peer groups, students and teachers. Frequently, rather than the teacher, students and teachers will freely discuss issues and challenges within their peer group. Accordingly, peer groups can be very beneficial to assessors, that by discussing to each other, the student can say that what is wrong or what kind of requirement is there for completion of this course. So such kind of information that we received from peer groups is also beneficial for a student and also for this evaluation of curriculum. Professional evaluators. Professional evaluators, those who are having this kind of duties, and those who are responsible to evaluate the higher education institutions, as there is provision of evaluation of each and every higher education institutions by NAAC peer team. Similarly, lot of agencies are there that they are working as an evaluator. So, professional evaluators, specialists in the field, can offer guidance on program design and instruction. They are also the most qualified individuals to offer an objective assessment of the methodology and course material. Many research organizations and professional associations have recently stepped up to assist universities in assessing their curricula. Types of curriculum evaluation. So, we have studied that What are the sources of evaluation? That is a learner. Then second one is the self, that is the teacher, and peer groups and professional evaluators. Now we come to the types of curriculum evaluation. One is formative evaluation. While developing a curriculum, formative assessment takes place. Its goal is to facilitate the enhancement of the educational program. The program's shortcomings are assessed as they are being developed. The evaluation's findings give programmers information and help them fix any issues found in the program. Formative evaluation means that when we start the academic session, there are so many processes that we try to introduce, and so many kind of meetings are there, consultative meetings are there, and meetings with senior faculty members are also there. So we have this formative evaluation at the start of the session, and during the session we can also apply this formative evaluation just to know, after passing the 1/4 part of the curriculum, what kind of challenges are there. Are the students making good progress, or is there need to improve this process? So formative evaluation means the evaluation that takes place during start of the evaluation, and that takes place after when we are passing through this session. So immediately we can improve the processes that are going there. Summative evaluation, the most widely recognized kind of evaluation is summative. It occurs at the conclusion of the term, course or instructional program. It entails a formal assessment of a student's performance. Public examinations, including annual and half-yearly exams, are an example of this type of assessment. Grading, ranking, classifying, comparing and promoting the students are the main goals of this type of evaluation. So the formative evaluation takes place at the start of the curriculum, and during the curriculum, during the processes of curriculum, it can also be take place, but the summative is total sum of all the formative evaluations. Or at the end we assess what progress our student has made and what progress the educational institution are making, and at the end we sum up all the data that we have collected and we compile it in terms of that, what kind of changes have been observed and what kind of changes not observed, what kind of processes are needed, and what kind of modification is needed. So the main purpose of summative evaluation is to promote the students, to modify the students' learning, and to make it possible that the institution is going well, or is there need to modify this kind of teaching learning process. Additionally, it serves as a tool for certification, that is promotion from one class to another. So we are providing the kind of grading, we are providing a certification to the students that you are able to get promotion to the next class. These all are chosen for scholarships also, or admissions to certain courses based on summative assessment. It can also be used to predict how well students will do in their future endeavors. So summative evaluation is important in the sense that it provides the whole picture of the education institution, students' learning, and a kind of effectiveness of all teaching learning process, that what the students have done, what kind of changes we have observed. So in that way we promote the students to the next class. And along with this, if there is any scholarship program, there is fellowship program, so we provide an opportunity to the students to offer this scholarship and you may appear in this test because you are good in academics and you are good in your learning activities. So on the basis of the performance of the students, we can also give them chance and we can offer the scholarships and fellowships to them. And when the students are getting good marks, they can be promoted to the next class. We can give the grades also excellent. You are number one in position, you are number two in position among all, you are number three, and so on. So this kind of grading is also helpful in admission of the students in the next class, and it is also helpful to know that what kind of progress the student will predict, the students will do in their future endeavors. Say for example, if one is able to analyze and one is able to interpret the data, so he may be a good kind of a statistician. If a student is able to diagnose and to identify the minute problems and able to give the reasons of that particular phenomena, so he may be a scientist. And if a student is good in writing, good in justification, good in speech, he may be a kind of social scientist. So on the basis of the talents, we can check that what kind of qualities the student have, and on the basis of that, guidance and counseling also provided to the students. In summative assessment, a curriculum's final products are assessed according to its declared goals. It happens after the curriculum has been completely created and implemented. When administrators use this kind of evaluation to determine whether a curriculum is good enough to merit institutional support, it serves a summative function, choosing whether to have a curriculum officially adopted by a school system or to keep receiving funding from outside source. Diagnostic evaluation, that is the third kind. First is the formative, second one is the summative, third one is the diagnostic evaluation. Diagnostic evaluation is intended to either identify the root cause of learning deviations in any field of study or to place students appropriately at the beginning of an instructional level. Another type of evaluation that is more closely associated with formative assessment than summative assessment is the diagnostic evaluation. Actually, it will be used in conjunction with formative assessment in the classroom. Even summative assessments can occasionally be used for diagnostic purposes. You see, what is diagnostic evaluation? Say for example, as the word indicates, diagnose. You diagnose what kind of difficulties the learner has. Say for example, a doctor diagnoses this kind of disease the patient has. Similarly, in the classroom, when the students are sitting and they are about in number 40 or maybe less than 8 or maybe more than this. So, you have to identify the talent and the kind of difficulty that they are feeling in their teaching learning process, just to know that what kind of treatment is needed here. Because similar kind of treatment is not required for every kind of students. Those who are having high IQ, they may be progressed and they may be feeling pleasurable in your class. But those who are not able to hear, those who are not able to speak, those who are having the low IQ, what kind of treatment is needed here? Because they are not going with the same pace as you are moving to complete your lesson. So, this kind of difficulties that the students, that the learner feels in the path of learning, these difficulties are identified with the help of diagnostic evaluation. Say for example, if a teacher says to one student, you please read this para. student is unable to read. Student is not able to go through this slide, or the student is reading in a very slow because there is a speech problem. Pronunciation is not clear. So what will happen? He will having certain kind of complexes that I can't pronounce this word. But a teacher who acts as a guide, who acts as a mentor, who acts as a facilitator, supports the student's learning, and he try to give the additional time to such kind of students in terms of or in the form of remedial classes. So remedial classes are arranged in the school or in higher education institutions also for those learners, those who are not able to cope up in the classroom as they should be. So the extra efforts, extra treatment is giving to them. Sometimes those are having any kind of visual impairment and any kind of hearing problem, they are giving the remedies and a kind of therapy that is suitable to them. So this kind of diagnostic evaluation helps the students, those who are having any kind of difficulties and not able to cope up in the classroom where the normal kind of students are studying. But the average students, those who are in the classroom, a teacher has to move finding the average performance of the students. So this kind of difficult diagnostic evaluation is very helpful for a teacher to identify the learners having any kind of difficulty, and accordingly the treatment is given to them. Another type of evaluation that is more closely associated with formative assessment, summative assessment is the diagnostic evaluation. Formative means that the curriculum, the evaluation that takes place at the beginning or during the session. Summative means sum of all the data and making or declaring what is the progress in totality, and diagnostic means to identify the learners having a certain kind of difficulties and providing them the treatment accordingly. So actually it will be used in conjunction with formative assessment in the classroom. Even summative assessments can occasionally be used for diagnostic purposes. Finding the root cause of a student's learning weaknesses is the primary goal of diagnostic evaluation, which is also necessary even before instruction to properly place the students based on his or her level of achievement. Therefore, the diagnostic evaluation serves as a foundation for implementing the instructions. There are several reasons why diagnostic evaluation is crucial to classroom instruction. First and foremost, it is important to understand the student's entry behavior, or whether they are prepared to learn or possess the fundamental knowledge and abilities needed to continue learning new things. Second, it aids in determining the extent to which students have already mastered a given unit. The teacher can determine whether the lesson she is going to give will result in a knowledge advance or just repetition after determining the level. This is crucial to understand because while repetition can distract students and lead to indiscipline in the classroom, advanced learning can be engaging for them. So this slide is saying that because we want to see the master's learner, so it is very essential to check the students and each and every point, and we are having this crucial to understand because while repetition can distract students, if I am repeating each and every statement again and again, so it is good for those who are not able to learn in one time, and those who are not able to quickly receive their knowledge. So this is good for them. But sometimes it creates a lot of problem for others, those who are able to cope up in the classroom in excellent way. So this is crucial to understand, because while repetition can distract students and lead to indiscipline in the classroom also, advanced learning can be engaging for them. Thirdly, diagnosis aids in the teacher's classification of students based on the level of proficiency, which helps the teacher develop a remedial instruction program for slow learners and low achievers. Furthermore, there might be reason for the children's shortcomings besides teaching strategies or resources. There should be a certain kind of difficulties that we are don't having the appropriate learning resources, and sometimes the students are having some weak point, so we are not able to cope up, or the students are not able to cope up, and the teacher is not able to bring the students to the right path. So these, furthermore, there might be reasons for the children's shortcomings besides teaching strategies or resources. Learning obstacles could be caused by social, emotional or physical factors. The symptoms of the learning disorders that result from these issues can be identified through diagnosis. So that I wanted to say that the difficulty in the path of this academic journey can be identified in that form, that what kind of problem the student has. It may be from social, that is maybe from the family, maybe from the society. Emotional, that may be a certain kind of attachment with someone, and sometimes the students lost the parents, sometimes lost the mother, sometimes lost the father, and so many problems a student has to face. So that may be emotionally weak and no one is to support him. So this emotional or physical factors are also responsible that not provide opportunity to the students to develop in a matured way. So these kind of diagnostic problems, these kind of problems that diagnosed by the teacher maybe need certain kind of extra treatment that a teacher should provide to them in the classroom, or possibly outside the classroom, that I told you that it is known as this remedial classes. The symptoms of the learning disorders that result from these issues can be identified through diagnostic evaluation. So such kind of difficulties, such kind of lacuna, or such kind of a kind of that nature, and not able to hear any problem, and crying, and sometime trying fighting, these all kind of problems we also observe in the behavior of the students. So how can we solve these social problems? How can we solve this emotional problem? How can we solve the physical problems, or the physical factors that are responsible to disturb the students? These can also be identified and can also be monitored, and the treatment accordingly can be provided to the learner. So thank you very much listening me patiently, and going through this all the slides. And today what we have learned, that what kind of types of evaluation, four types of evaluation, that is three kinds we have studied here, that is formative, summative and diagnostic. What are the sources of these all curriculum evaluation, and how can we identify that the student is not able to make the progress? So, the diagnostic kind of evaluation or the learners need that what kind of treatment is needed to improve their academic life. So, this is enough for today's class, and thank you very much. Be happy and be healthy. Okay.